Hello everybody, my name's Eric.
I'm Kyle.
And welcome to another video from Gun Gamers. Like our videos? Why not play our games? Learn more about Incursion and Ascension at GunGamersProductions.com. Today,
we're going to talk about why knife kills, melee kills, foam, whatever, rubber, whatever, they're terrible and no place should allow them.
I do think there are ways to do it properly, but the way most places do it, I agree with Kyle.
I would say there's, in super heavy LARP games, there's a place for them. Anything above that, no. Just no.
Yeah, I've been playing Airsoft for a long time, and I just want to say I have seen a lot of issues caused by melee kills where somebody gets carried away, people end up on the ground, or someone gets angry, and it's just, to my mind, in a game where the point is to shoot each other, melee kills don't really have a good place unless there's a very strong community and rule set to police them.
Exactly. No, if you don't have a really tight community and a really tight rule set, the chances of someone getting injured are really, really high, actually. And it's super easy for it to go wrong. And actually, I'll share a story of that, something I personally did, who I almost walloped a small child. I was playing at a local place, and they were doing some kind of, what did they call it? It wasn't the original Japanese one.
Hunger Games?
Yeah, they called it Hunger Games.
Yeah, instead of Battle Royale.
Instead of Battle Royale. And so, they only had like a handful of guns, and one of them was they had a foam hatchet. This one's not foam. And so this 12-year-old thought that he was going to get one up on me, and I had nothing. And so he tried to throw the hatchet at me. Didn't work. He missed. He had a bad throw. So I grabbed the hatchet off the ground. Kid's trying to run away for his life at this point because he knows I'm coming. And then he trips over his own 2 feet. And I'm like, oh, he's dead. So I grabbed the hatchet, and he's like rolling over. So I'm like, I'm going to kill you. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is Airsoft. And I was like, tap. But it's very easy to get caught up in the moment when you're doing something, a physical, almost wrestling kind of action, to just apply force, because that's what comes kind of natural when you're doing that stuff.
I like how you shared that story as a way to empathize with why someone would do the stupid thing I'm about to describe.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very easy to get caught up in it. And now share this.
So we had a thing happen at one of our recent games where someone didn't read our rule set and thought that the rule set of the facility we were hosting at was in play. So our rule set does not allow melee kills.
No.
The rule set of the facility we were hosting at does allow melee kills. So this person brought a big fake machete, one of those cold steel training knife things, and this person sat in a corner waiting for somebody to come by so they could have an opportunity to ambush them. And when someone came around the corner, this player got very excited, rushed out, and took this other player to the ground.
Yeah, they collided so hard.
Yeah, and it was a whole thing. Yeah. And luckily one of our staff members was right nearby to say, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that was diffused from there. But that is an example of, even when you go in with good intentions, sometimes it's easy for players to get carried away. And if you don't have the wherewithal to stop and think for a second, it's easy to go too far.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it. This is an exciting game and players are excitable. But when that type of excitement happens, then you get fights starting because somebody all of a sudden gets tackled out of nowhere at a game where they're expecting to get hit by a few BBs.
Yes. Also, and I would love to see Eric just try and hatch it like a 10-year-old, just cowering in the corners there, just comes in and just slams. And, but that's like that disparity of size and force are just going to kind of happen when you introduce melee actions. And that's how people get hurt. And really one of the big things that I see happen all the time with that stuff, iPro can get knocked off so easily. Because either you're dodging, you get caught in that tackle, like that one kid who decided that he got excited. Or other things, iPro can come off, knocked off. People say don't swing at the head, and people are like, "What, skunk?" It's just there's too much room for it to go terribly wrong.
Yeah, and granted, Airsoft is a game where we shoot at each other, so people think, "Oh, well, that should all be fair game too," but you don't know where everybody is coming to a game from unless, again, you have a very tight-knit community and everybody knows what the expectations are and can follow the rules. But you don't know who's coming in thinking that this is like MMA mixed with whatever. Yeah. And then you've got people on the ground and it's a whole problem. I just don't think it's a good idea to introduce any physical contact between players without explicit consent.
Correct, exactly, because it becomes a problem enough in Airsoft. We've all seen the terrible, cringy cheater fights, Airsoft fight. That happens with just the Airsoft guns. When you introduce melee combat, it gets exponentially worse. It's not worth doing. It's not worth having.
Now, I do think there are ways to do it if you're gonna do it.
Yes.
If you listening to this think, wow, none of these things have been problems when I've been doing melee, well, good. That's because you are being considerate and actually reading and following a full rule set that all of the players that you have dealt with have consented to.
Yes.
That's how to do it properly. I think that, something like the survival mega games.
Yes.
They allowed melee kills.
Yeah,
but they would
makes sense there.
They would inspect and tag all melee weapons.
Yes.
So not only did you have, these are the melee weapons that are allowed, those melee weapons were inspected.
Yep.
So then they were tagged of yes or no and under, what circumstances.
Yep.
Then you had opportunities for players to consent to melee combat in things like the fight pit.
Yeah.
And that would happen at different designated times. And if people wanted to use melee outside of that, then it was already like everyone had been introduced to the system and knew that this was fair game.
Correct.
And then you have the very tight-knit community that Omega had, where not only did people know that those rule sets existed, but they all helped police each other in enforcing them.
Correct. And also, because perfect example, there's a number of different, medieval fantasy style melee combat systems that exist out there that they use in their hobbies, and it works to great effect for them. But the problem is that's what they know and understand, and they're adhering to that strict rule set. Airsofters who just come in, they know Airsoft. They don't know all the rules, and you can't expect someone to know that. And that's where having that tight-knit community and really understanding it is so important. Because absolutely you can do it, absolutely you can be safe, absolutely it can be fun, but there's a lot of conditions that have to be met for that to work.
Yes. And the thing that I think is interesting to think about is if you want to understand why bringing melee to Airsoft is potentially a bad idea, think about why bringing an Airsoft gun to a melee fight would be potentially a bad idea.
Same thing.
Yeah, you would have communities that don't understand the different rule sets clashing.
Yeah.
So if you're going to try to build this ability to have melee kills at Airsoft, what should you do with it?
Number one thing that people mistake is they don't interpret no stabbing actions, because even with rubber knives, you could actually pretty seriously hurt someone with these when you're doing a stabbing thrusting action like that. So you want to avoid that. Another one is you want to make sure you're staying away from the head entirely. Some places don't allow strong overhead swings with bigger things like this.
Good idea.
Is another thing that they don't allow. Just look up some of those combat rule systems, and they have all kinds of things. Like some places actually just have from the shoulders up. Like don't be going for up here. So it all depends. Look up some safe rules. Look up examples of people who do that as their hobby as a basis for a rule set for it.
Yeah, believe it or not, possibly bigger than the Airsoft scene is the, Amp Guard, HEMA, and all those different rules.
Yes.
And they have a whole system developed for boffer combat.
Yep.
They also have rules for, what melee weapons are allowed. I personally think that like rubber knives should be like tap kills only and stuff like that for the most part. But then if you're going to allow things like hatchets and kukris and whatever, then they need to meet certain buffer rule sets if they want to be used in certain ways.
Yeah, because they have whole safety standard systems of things that are approved, and you can just limit it to those approved items, which will greatly assist in people not injuring each other.
Yeah, so, in general, are we fans of melee kills? No. Not really.
No.
Do we think that there's ways to make them work? Yes. So would I change my mind if more people were to do it properly? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm in no rush. if
I hope to be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly. I'll go play at those games and experience it that way rather than trying to do the admin side of that, because I can imagine.
But yeah, if you have your own thoughts or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Like or dislike this video, depending on how much you hate our faces. But hopefully, overall, you enjoyed this and found it educational or at least entertaining. So once again, I've been Eric.
I'm Kyle.
And thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. Peace. Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.